So hey, it's time to talk about the most disappointing books of 2021. So a little bit like my favorite ones, I'm going to go from those books that I don't really have that much to talk about, that were kind of disappointing or bad, but are not really the worst of the kind, but that they still are in the list. And the first one is something I have the most to say about. So stay tuned for that if you want to find out what the book is. And also I have here 8 books, one of which is DNF, and we will start from that. So I only DNF'd one book in 2021, then that was All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. I DNF'd it at 40%, so a little bit over 100 pages, I think. It almost put me back into the reading slump, so I just had to stop it. I realized that the story just wasn't for me. It was well written. There was nothing wrong with the writing style and the storytelling, but the storytelling itself just wasn't for me. Like, I realized right away that I don't like these bizarre stories. Like, this was way too bizarre, and the characters didn't act like normal human beings, and I like books where characters are like normal human beings, so I can definitely see why some people would love this book a lot. But I also realized that's definite reasons why I don't love this book at all. So that's why it was DNF right away, because I realized that I don't enjoy it. I don't think I can enjoy it at any point. And also it made me really uncomfortable. I can say that there was bullying, and the bullying itself was really, I don't know why, but it made me so uncomfortable, even though I don't really think I shy away from hard issues in books, but this one just, I couldn't read about it, and I just wanted to put it down right away. So that's why definitely a DNF for me. So, to the books that I actually finished. Number 7 is Life is Strange graphic novel called Dust, and it was written by Emma Vizelli and illustrated by Claudia Leonardi and Andrea Izzo. Honestly, if you haven't played the Life is Strange game, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a story that continues after one of the possible endings of the game, and it tells the story of Max and Chloe and what they are doing after that and what kind of conflicts they have after that. But the thing for me is that the plot was something that made no sense for me, and also the story itself had lost the charm of the game. Like, it didn't have the same atmosphere. The art style itself was very kind of atmospheric, and I did like that one. It was very beautiful, but the story itself just was a little bit all over the place. The pacing was bad, and it just went kind of right into it without feeling it about, because the Life is Strange is actually like a lot like a chilling game where we just chill around and feel the atmosphere and the story, but this didn't give you even the chance to do that. Honestly, even though it's a disappointing book, I still think I'm going to continue it, because the ending was really hooking, and it was the cliffhanger that I kind of want to know how they're going to continue after that. Like, the result didn't make sense, and how we get into that situation didn't make sense, but at the same time I kind of want to know what they're going to do. And if the second comic doesn't do it for me, I'm going to just stop the whole series there. So number 6 is The Twisted Tree by Rachel Perch. It's a story about a girl who has this power to kind of see and feel feelings and memories of people from their clothes, and she got the power one summer when she fell from the twisted tree that was on her grandmother's yard. She got blind in one eye, and then the mother didn't want to go back to grandmother's place anymore, but girl, main character, wanted to go there, so it's about her going back there alone and finding out about things. And it has some Norwegian mythology, I think, and I did like the mythology part a lot. It was nice, and the writing was okay. Not the best, not the worst, okay. And it was an interesting concept. I really enjoyed that, and even some scary parts spooked me a little bit. So it did do that to me. But what really makes it horrible to me, and not just okay book, was the romance. Some young adult books really have the worst romance, honestly. Like, this book would have been okay if it just left out the romance part. It was so forced. Like, it made no sense why the love interest was in grandmother's house in the first place. It was a little bit random, and also it didn't make sense at all how the storyline with the love interest stopped and ended at the end of the book. It was kind of sudden and weird, and it was definitely insta-love. It just happened. Just because they happened to be in the same house and happened to be the same age, they fell in love. You don't really build up anything. So yeah, it's also a really very random book because I don't think many people actually know this book even exists. But now you know, and if you like Norwegian mythology, it's a good book. If you don't like insta-love at all and can stand it, that's not a good book for you then. So number 5 goes to one more random book that not many probably know, and that is Memory of Water by Emily Taranto. So the funny thing about this book is that it's written both in English and Finnish by the author herself, so you can actually read it in English if you want to. I read it in or listened to it in Finnish because that's also one of the original languages and the native language of the author. Yeah, it's a dystopian story about the world where there's no water. It's really strict how you use water. Our main character is a girl whose father is a tea master and she herself becomes a tea master too. So water is really like in the center of the story. But there's a thing with Finnish dystopian. I have read 2 books so far, and neither of them were good, and both of them have the same issues. Like Finnish dystopian doesn't just give you a satisfactory ending. It's just like always forgets one plotline, that plotline that is actually interesting and they are planning for to do it and everything, but it never just happens. It always either ends with something weird going in the middle and we just forget the plotline, and then they give us like this fun sentence at the end of it and we never dwell into that plotline ever again, even though it's very centric and important part of the whole book. But it just ends up, you know, being beautiful and philosophical and just speculating, like it's speculative fiction in Finland mostly when it's sci-fi. And I don't say, there were so many beautiful things about the book, like very beautiful sentences and parts and everything, but honestly it's not enough when you just drop one plot line, one important plot line like that. Yeah, no, like the ending was perfect for the character, it made sense, but at the same time when they drop the plot line like that, because of it doesn't make sense. Yeah, like it's sad to see a book full of interesting ideas and beautiful writing and then have nothing. So number 4, finally a book many people know, and it's many people's favorite book. For me, it was a little bit more of a disappointment because honestly I was waiting for things to be amazing like I was promised, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Swap. Okay, if you don't know, Darkest Shade of Magic is a story of 4 different Londons which have names by the colors, and from Red London comes our magician main character, and from Grey London comes our female main character who wants something more of life and is also a thief, and we follow that of this one part of Black London that was sealed away, that gave to other Londons, and they have to get rid of it before same happens to other Londons that happened to the Black London. Like the premise is so interesting, like I really like the idea of it, it's super interesting. But honestly, first 100 pages were so boring, like nothing happened, nothing but info dumps and nothing but just following them around. And honestly I don't even mind just following people around, but for some reason the writing just didn't do it for me. Like it was fine after that rest of the 100 pages, it was okay writing, not my favorite again, but it was okay because things started to happen finally. And also a thing about Black London, I just kind of like expected something more epic to happen with it, and it never did. And I have heard that it never does happen even in the sequels, but I still think I'm going to continue to the next part just because I see that myself, if I agree with others, I don't completely believe others when they say that it gets better or it gets worse. So I have to see it myself. I think I'm continuing because of the good idea, like these 4 different Londons and the Black London in itself, but yeah. Also the characters didn't do it for me either. None of them. So we'll see. And now we get to the top 3 of the worst books I have read in 2021. Number 3 is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. If you don't know, it's a story about the sisters who end up to be part of the fable world, and it has a lot of racism and politics. And it's also known as this book where there's enemies to lovers plotline. Okay, first I must say, I love the drama. The drama is so ridiculous. It's like you're watching this super bad soap opera and you can't look away, even though you know it's bad fried thing and it makes no sense, but you just can't look away because it's so intriguing and delicious. But about in the end I ended up being disappointed is writing style. The writing style is just, I'm sorry if you love it, but it's just, for me it was horrible. It was all telling, never showing. I hated the first person, how they sometimes for some reason broke the fourth wall and talked to the reader, and it was so simple, it just went. It was just like words in the paper and nobody ever thought how to make it nice. Also there were things about the plot that didn't get good explanation, and in the end it's like, why do you do that? They never dwells on these issues. It's just she writes that, oh, okay, this is how it is. Now you must accept that it's like this. And I can't just accept it like that. I think readers should see how it happens and why it happens. It just makes no sense. And that's one of the biggest reasons I am disappointed in this book. Like, you promise so much, but in the end, you give me nothing. And also I kind of figured out, this is the first Fae book I have ever read that I don't really care for Faes. Like, I don't get the charm. They kinda mean. Like, the main love interest really made me uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. Okay, but main character is also horrible too. I kinda think they deserve each other, but at the same time, no. Why would you ever want to end up in a relationship with this guy? It didn't happen completely in the first book. I think there was things that don't make sense again. They just say this is how it is now, and it happened. But in the end, I think I will continue to the second book just because of the drama. I love the drama. It was bad. That makes sense. On the second place is a book that made me fall asleep, and it's The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodore Goss. Okay, it made me fall asleep so hard. If you don't know, it's a story about these daughters of different monsters, like from classic books like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein and so on, and it puts them all together in the same world, and there's also familiar characters from different books, and it was interesting to see that, and they end up solving a murder mystery together, these daughters, and it's very nice premise. I do like the premise and I do like the idea, and I also did like some of the characters, but oh my god, it went on and on and on and nothing really happened. Nothing interesting, at least. Something did happen. It was a long book. I did love how it was written, because I do love old classics like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein and everything else, like Sherlock Holmes, and I like what the author kind of went for. But in the end, I enjoy Sherlock Holmes more. It lacked the charm the old books have. Like, there were parts I did enjoy, like Justine parts, but most of the time it just was bored and everybody kinda sounded the same to me in the end. And I hated it in their sections that came in the middle of the story. Like, it was like a manuscript one of the characters wrote, and there were the comments from other characters, like they were in the middle of there, and I just didn't like it. It always took me away from the story when I was starting to get into it, and then I was suddenly just disturbed in the middle of it, in the middle of everything. And honestly, I did that kind of thing when I was 12 and I wrote fanfiction. I did a lot of that I made characters speak with each other and with me, who wrote the fanfiction. So I can't just get past that it brings me back memories from when I was 12. I really struggled to get through this, and that's why, because I was so bored, there's nothing that made me want to read it again, that I decided that I won't continue the series, because it was just terrible, all over terrible for me, which is sad. Many people love this one, it's cool, but not me. And finally, we're in book number 1, the one that most disappointed me in 2021, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey Mcqueston. I don't even know where to start. Okay, Red, White and Royal Blue is a book about the son of the President of the USA and the Prince of England, and they fall in love. Simple. And there's also a lot of politics involved, and I kind of went into this expecting more of enemies to lovers kind of book. I don't know what I was even expecting. I was expecting much more. Anyway, I said that already. It was 400 pages and it was so boring again. I did enjoy the first 100 pages where main characters didn't like each other yet or didn't admit it, but after that they got together, and after that it was just looking at them date, being cute, being perfect together, and having sex all the time. Like, I'm not really interested in that anymore. Maybe my mistake is that I'm 26 and I used to like these kind of books when I was 20, and I tried to read a book that I would probably have enjoyed much more if I was younger. Yeah, I can appreciate that we have a very happy couple together and that they have a happy ending, because it's good that we have a gay couple that can be happy together. But in the end, it got a little bit ridiculous when everyone in the book got their happy ending. Just one happy ending after another. It got a little bit silly, I think. Like, I would have been fine if we got only happy ending for our main couple and then kinda like left it at that and not give us the most ridiculous happy endings ever. I sound like a cringe. Hi, I'm 26 and I'm old and I'm tired and I'm a cringe. But honestly, what would have made the book better is probably that if it was shorter. Now it was just long and nothing really happened, and the politics was so boring in this book. It wasn't even written interestingly, and also everyone was the same character. Everyone talked the same, everyone acted the same, and everyone said fuck. Even the President of the USA, and I wouldn't have been honestly surprised if the Queen of England said fuck. Her daughter said fuck, and her daughter's son said fuck, and everybody just swear all over the place, and Alex drank like sponge. My god. It felt really young to me. For some reason everyone swearing all the time just felt kinda cheap. Like, not everyone is gonna react that way. That sounds like a teenage way to react, or very aggressive person reacting to things. I don't know, being an adult, for example. An adult and in politics? Or are USA politics like that? I don't honestly remember what happened after those first 100 pages and about the ending. Probably nothing. I appreciate the fluff, I appreciate the happy ending, I appreciate that Alex and Henry can be happy. So don't think that I am being just a horrible person who says that boy couples can't be happy together. No, definitely give me more happy endings, but also give me good plot. So yeah, that was all the books I was disappointed by in 2021 and will never read again. And I'm happy, I don't know, I only own one of them, so that's pretty cool, right? So I will see you in the next video where we are going to see my February TBR, so stay tuned for that. Even consider subscribing, because then you will find me easier to get my videos and hear me being horrible adult human being and dissing young adult books. I need to read more adult books, honestly. Okay, welcome to the journey of me finding what I like and don't like. Bye!